Wow, that sounds, I mean, phenomenal. I mean, like I said, because I mean, in my, sales career and everything, in my, business, professional life, I've done a lot of different, fairs and different events like that where you have a booth of some sort and you set up and you put your, your stuff at. And I mean, just having like lights or, like big banners can be a pain in the butt sometimes. So having something that you just like set on the table and literally just plug in and it's good to go sounds incredible. So, do you see the college market being, the thing that you're going to continue to pursue, or do you see like other applications for this technology?
The answer is yes to both.
Mm.
I do see the college market as an angle we are pursuing. We also really have made the majority of our sales back in the private event space, like we
Mm.
were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So I see us going after both. The private events, they straight up are keeping the lights on now.
Okay.
The college angle, I think that's maybe where we can carve a niche that the other hologram companies just aren't interested or aren't able to go after.
Mm-hmm.
We also have other angles we are looking at. Like, for example, one thing that initially made Holotable successful was that on the physics side, we used very impressive physics, but like I said, 400 years old. We very intentionally weren't breaking the mold.
Yeah.
We have a video game project, actually, that I have to keep under wraps for now,
Mm-hmm.
but it uses the physics behind 3D projections, but for a entirely different purpose, for
Interesting.
for video games.
Okay.
So we are taking this experience we have had with the holograms and shaking around all of the wires, and we're actually trying to develop a video game right now that would be playable on computers where you don't need a hologram display to run.
I love it, man. Well, because I mean, in my mind, again, I'm not a technology guy. I come from, the sales business world a lot more. And in my mind, I'm a big believer that, I can explain something to you all day long, but if I have some sort of like visual element, whether it be a PowerPoint or a printout or a handout or, a leave behind pamphlet of some sort, if I can, give you a visual, like say, hey, this is actually how these things are working, or this is how something is going to be put together, in my vision for whatever it is I'm working on. I mean, that's way, way, way more impactful. Do you see an application, for this technology in, the private sector, in the business world?
Yes, yes, I do.
Mm.
Also, and I like where he went with that question, but I initially thought we were going a different direction. Would it be helpful to have a video demo for anybody watching the video version of this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can link it too in the show notes so anybody listening can find that and see, what it is that we're actually talking about.
Awesome.
Because I mean, I think like having something like, hey, hey, I'm a, a real estate developer, just for example, saying like, hey, if I have like even an animated version of, a tour of this home or of this, apartment complex that I'm building and putting together, that makes it much more tangible in my mind. Particularly if I'm, on the other end, like trying to like lend money or, investing in it or whatever the case might be. And I feel like having, this hologram technology in that kind of, of a sales setting, I feel like that would make a ton of sense. Do you feel like that would make sense?
Oh, yeah. Actually, the very first company that approached us
Hmm.
was a real estate adjacent company.
Okay.
They built custom sheds
Hmm.
for people on their land. And I really think there is a huge use case there, being able to show in real time in a fast and impressive way
Yeah.
a mock-up,
Yeah.
a minimum investment but high value prototype.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Now
kind of
that
walk
said,
me
would you like me to go
through.
ahead and?
Oh, I
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, Jacob. Is now a good time for me to screen share the video?
Sure.
Awesome.
Was that just rendered on the spot?
So for that specific use case, we 3D scanned her on the site in real time. The whole process from starting the 3D scan her to getting her on that display was about half an hour. Now, that was
Okay.
actually mostly data speeds because a lot had to happen in the cloud. So we could probably get that down to 8 minutes with current
Okay.
tech.
So if it was like all like, hardwired, like in somebody's office before going to a presentation, it would be much quicker.
Yes. If we weren't running on 4G LTE signal at a very
Right.
crowded space.
Because that was going to be my next question. Because I was curious, like, if like in that same like real estate scenario, right, or like the shed company that you were talking about before. I mean, how much like training or software and hardware, I guess, does an individual or a company need in order to take this from zero to finished presentation edition?
Well, there's two answers to that.
Hmm.
If you were, let's say, Jacob, team of one, borrowed this from me for a presentation,
Yeah.
and you were the one developing everything,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it would honestly be pretty medium difficulty. You could get it done, but there is a learning curve.
Okay.
That's where Holotable wants to step in, though. That's where we
Okay.
believe we can be a huge help to these organizations looking to go to a convention and triple the amount of people that remember them. If we're tripling the value like that, I really think it makes sense to bring in the experts like us to do the back-end rendering because, for example, with Miss Stephanie there, all she did was stand in place in 3D. We 3D scanned her for her, and then she went off and got a martini. We did the legwork, and next thing you know, the magic's happened.
I love it. Okay, so I mean, it's reasonably doable then. So again, like let's like just like ballpark it for me. If I was like a real estate developer and I wanted a really cool, holographic presentation to, visually show what it is I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to put together for lenders or investors or whomever, like if I talk to you guys, on a Monday morning, are you able to get it done like that week or within the month? How long does it typically take?
It depends on the assets.
Okay.
So, as I understand it, as a real estate developer, you're always going to have the blueprints. You might
Mhm.
have a mock-up. You might have a 3D model. All the assets you already have will make our legwork lighter and obviously make us faster. If you do have a full 3D model or assembly of 3D models depicting the whole project already for a traditional screen, oh, that's like a 1 hour job for us to convert it to the hologram.
And then I would like, again, assuming I'm the real estate investor, I would just need to have or rent, I guess, maybe I would need to have access in some form or fashion to the hollow table itself, like the hardware.
Sorry, Jacob, there's a train going by. Can you repeat that?
So you said like, so assuming that I'm the real estate developer, if I have all those assets, I just need to send that to you. And then I need to physically have access, either have purchased or have rented, I guess, have physical access in some form or fashion to the hollow table hardware, right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for repeating the question. Yes. So, as long as you already have the display physically with you,
Mm.
you do not need to do any work on your end beyond turning it on. We
Okay.
already have the data signal built in. It's already set to auto download. So from our end, with the pipeline we've made, you email us the files, shared over Google Drive, doesn't matter. We do the conversion process, throw it into the back end on our website, and it will be set within 2 minutes to auto download to your hologram display.
Love it. So, I mean, it really seems, I don't know, pretty accessible, I guess. I mean, to me, like, again, hologram in my mind is like, like future stuff, like Star Trek, Star Wars, science fiction kind of stuff. But I mean, it's really not, I guess, right? I mean, it's here.
Yes, it is. The 3D projections that we think of as holograms, actually, a little bit of trivia, holotable was a word invented by George Lucas in 1974,
Okay.
script writing for A New Hope. Seems like that might be the only word he didn't trademark. George, if you hear this and I'm wrong, whoopsie. But yeah, the technology is here. It's just a matter of making it where everybody can get their hands on it now.
Yeah, which I mean, it sounds like, again, like we're kind of right on the cusp of doing exactly that. So I want to kind of take a step back here because technology sounds incredible. It sounds super versatile to really any kind of, visualization sort of business or something. Anything that needs a further higher tech visualization, it sounds like it would be super applicable to. So I'm curious, like, what do you think has made it so effective so far, and what kind of impact have you seen?
So with next gen depictions, whether that be virtual reality or holograms or now AI models of celebrities and the like, or your CEO if he needs it for something like that. The one thing these all have in common is that they are doing something that hasn't really been done yet in different ways. So, for example, the one area, the third rail I really never want to go to with VR is single person immersion. And
Okay.
what do I mean by that? Have you ever used the VR headset, Jacob?
I haven't, but I've known several folks that have.
Okay. So with them, I did a lot of research. We've done work in the past with VR that we had an artist painting stuff in VR and we beamed it into the real physical world. The VR headset is truly built and designed for decades now to be the closest thing to physical that you can get for a regular person. Holograms, where this technology wins out, is a mass data emissions setup. So for shows, for conventions, when you have a group of people in the room, or for looking at weak spots in the other ones, sanitary issues. Like let's say you're in a hospital and you want to show your patient exactly where there is a suspicious part on their liver MRI. That could be very easily done in VR. But then if the person is, you might have just infected that VR headset. This is a much more sanitary way, being hands-free with the virtual reality.
Interesting. I'd not. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I had not thought about it in the healthcare world. Like that, I feel like would make a ton of sense because, I mean, right now they're like just explaining things, or they're showing, like MRI or CAT scans or X-rays on that. I mean, as far as I know, not that I would know, like just like on that, that light table thing that they have that's glued to the wall. So, I mean, having like the rendering of a heart or whatever that you could show to both the patient and then their loved ones in a really understandable way. I mean, I feel like that makes a ton of sense. Has anybody utilized this kind of technology in that setting yet?
I wish I knew the answer, Jacob. Here's what I do know. In 2018, when I was seriously starting to look at doing my own thing, I found a demo from an event called Lenovo Tech World, a big convention, something akin to South by Southwest.
Okay.
And with this, that they also, they might have called it Holotable. I forget the name, but it was a hologram display. It was a giant table. It took up way more space. This is more akin to the giant phone booths we were talking about.
Yeah.
But this one specifically was four-sided. Now, I could criticize certain elements all day, but what was 100% certain is they had found this medical angle, and they were showing in real time these scans of livers and different things for the demos for communicating in this way. Honest to God, Jacob, I hope they're still out there. That seems to be the only time that this group has made a demo, was this one time in 2018.